na, dhin, dhin, na, dhin, dhin, na, tin, tin, na, dhin, dhin, na. These are bowls of a tal, also known as how Sia lived her life, aka perfectly on beat. Quick question. How many of you have ever been in a relationship with rhythm? Yes, like genuinely committed to beats and counts and patterns. Because I have. And rhythm is a terrible partner. It's like having a personal trainer that never lets you cheat. Ever. But the weird thing about rhythm in Kathak is that you don't just follow it. You create with it. You build upon it. For all of you who are not familiar with the classical dance, let me quickly show you what I mean. I want you to snap along. Now, when I say that we follow rhythm, it would sound something like this. But now, when I tell you that in Kathak, we create with it or build upon it, it means we hold rhythm's hand, but we soar above high. Something like, thank you. And I think this is what makes performing so personal. It's not just about doing the dance, it's about creating something through it, crafting movements from emotion, breath, and memory. And so each step is not just a movement, it's a decision, a piece of art being created in real time. And this creation, it isn't loud. It lives in precision, in pulse, in tal. In Kathak, we have something called the sum. It's the first beat of rhythmic cycle and the last. Everything builds up to it. Every tihai, every toda, every chakkar. The sum is where everything meets. It's like closure, climax, that perfectly timed mic drop. And when it arrives, it doesn't come with finality. It comes with this fulfillment, like finally scratching that itch you couldn't reach. It's like, okay, imagine your entire life's purpose was to nail one moment, just one, over and over again. Actually, don't imagine it. Most of you are probably living it. We're all just waiting for our sum, that perfect beat. But here's the plot twist no one talks about. Real life doesn't operate on our rhythm expectations. So there I was, 10 years deep into this rhythm addiction in the ghats of Tamhini. I was training to become a volunteer for children's adventure camps because I have this weird need to turn everything into a resume bullet point. And as I'm walking down the trails, we reach a bridge over a stream so clear it looks like liquid glass. Beautiful, right? And then our instructor turns to us and says one word: jump. Now, quick show of hands, how many of you would immediately think, great idea? Okay, versus this person clearly has a death wish. So I was on team, great idea, until I climbed over the railing and scolded against a wet metal, and I look at the water below. That's when I was on team, this seems legally questionable. And as I was looking down below, I realized that my brain started to do something it always does. Okay, so now if I jump at this angle with this much force, I should land there. And I should fold my legs, assuming. And then I froze completely. While everyone's yelling, just jump, it's not that deep. I'm saying, I can't. I can't choreograph the fall. All my life, I had rhythm as my GPS. Walking down the street, I'd tap my fingers to car honks. Crossing the road, I'd find symmetry in traffic. Even when I wasn't dancing, I was still dancing. Because this little voice in my head was always counting, guiding me, keeping me safe. But right now, I was hit with a wave of offbeat. And here's the thing about this offbeat wave. It doesn't knock politely and ask if you're ready. Sometimes, it shoves you to the edge of a bridge and starts a countdown. No sum to land on, just uncertainty. That's when I realized I wasn't creating anymore. I was just arriving at the same moment over and over again. My entire life looked like one large countdown to the next sum. So when my instructor started to count me down, 5, 4, 3, I jumped. Not on one, not when I was ready, but before, mid-breath, mid-everything, anagat style. Anagat. Anagat is a composition in Kathak that messes with your expectations. Right when you think you know where it's going, right when your body prepares itself for that final satisfying sum, it hits half a beat early. Before you're ready, before it makes sense. But here's the thing, anagat doesn't fall short. It's calculated. It's deliberate. A dancer chooses to end a composition before the sum. And something about that I find unapologetically bold. I remember jumping. I was screaming the whole way down, but I also laughed. Because for the first time in 17 years, had I acted without a plan, without a guarantee, and without knowing where I'd land. And I survived. Actually, I more than survived. I felt alive. That jump broke something in me, in a good way. And here's what I realized. After chasing that perfect beat year after year, you get addicted to it. Dangerously so. You see, the perfect beat, the sum, becomes a comfort zone, a safety net. You start living for those moments of resolution. You start choreographing your entire life about reaching that next satisfying conclusion. And slowly, without realizing it, you stop creating between the spaces. You stop experimenting in those moments that don't promise resolution, that don't guarantee applause. I had it all wrong. The sum wasn't a distant goal. It wasn't a rare opportunity. The sum would always come. That's how rhythm works. In cycles, the sum is inevitable. The question isn't whether the sum would arrive. The question is, will you wait for its arrival, or will you create while it's on its way to you? Anagat broke that habit of waiting for the perfect beat, anticipating it, waiting for life to tap me on the shoulders and say, now. We tell ourselves we're being careful or strategic, but most of the times, we're just avoiding the jump. Let's be real. We're rehearsing instead of living. We're polishing ideas until they lose their shine. We've somehow convinced ourselves that preparation equals progress. But anagat helps me realize that I am not here to repeat what's safe. I am here to create. And creation, it demands risk. It thrives on the unexpected. And that's the kind of artist I want to become. See, rhythm taught me structure, discipline, grace even. But what keeps me in love with it, even after 10 years, is that little space just before the sum. That suspended moment of uncertainty when nothing happens, everything happens, and a willingness to get lost in it to create. In fact, all the best things I've created have come from that space. The unplanned speech, the freestyle improv, the painting that started as a mistake but turned into something so much better than the original plan. Even this speech, it started in that space. Not with a perfect outline or a punchy quote, but with a jumble of half-formed thoughts, fear, excitement, and a decision to just start. So here are my questions for you. How many dreams are you choreographing instead of living? Seriously, how many opportunities are you planning to death instead of just taking? When did the waiting ever get more exciting than the doing? And what if the sum you're waiting for comes and goes? And what if you're still waiting? The answer, anagat. That's the magic. It's not just a trick composition, it's a reminder that you don't have to wait for certainty to create meaning. You don't have to know how it ends to just begin. It's the drive to do things scared, do things nervous, and do things confused. And because of anagat, I will keep creating, not in spite of the unknown, but because of it. Because real art doesn't wait, and neither should you. Because the sum is guaranteed. But anagat is your choice. For years, I thought these beats were instructions, rules to follow. But now I know the truth. They were always questions, challenging me and imploring me to do more. So, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you one simple question. Will you move? Will you arrive anagat? Will you create? Thank you.